it's finishing off its
Yeah.
printing.
Cute.
So
Sounds
sorry
a bit
about
like
that.
Thomas the Tank
Poor
Engine.
Inga is lingering because she's like, I need. It's not yours, Linga. Linga?
That's an Inga mixed with Linga.
I get all sorts.
Oh, lingering Inga. No, that's all yours.
Thank you.
That's a quilt for Jane that's finishing printing off. Oh, it's all go this morning. Good morning. How are you? More to the point, we have got a jam-packed show. It would be fair to say, wouldn't it?
I would say so, yeah.
Jane's
Some
here.
gorgeous things.
Our beautiful Stitchy Witch is here. I'm going to find us. Here we are. Oh, no. Are we there? Live now. Live now. Oh, no, it's Textile Tuesday. It'll come up. It'll come up. Now, since we last met in all of, I don't know, 22 hours ago.
Yeah, 22 hours,
Since we last met, things have changed.
Never stand still in this place.
And this arrived. It looks like there's nothing here, but there is. There's actually some rulers. Hemline. And if you look through your sewing paraphernalia, flim-flam flippery, knick-knackery, whatever you wish to call it, you will find in there something from Hemline. They are a household name, aren't they, Jane?
Yeah, I think they're a pretty established haberdashery range supplier, aren't they?
And then the rep came to see us the other day, and he's like, I don't know if this would be of interest to you, but Hemline have brought out a premium range. Like, someone say premium.
We like premium.
Twitch. And he said, and it all goes, really, inspired by vintage haberdasheries, with a modern, sleek edge to it. Okay, show me something. All black and gold. It's lovely. So here it is. This is the Hemline Gold range. What appeals to me above everything, of course, we've got function and form. That has to be important. But, the reason that I'm switching a lot of the stuff to this is because they've got rid of as much single-use plastic as they possibly can.
It's brilliant.
And that finally shows me a company I want to work with, a company that is thinking about the future. And I am very much going to support that as much as I can. I'm going to be honest, Jane, it helps when they bring out certain things like this.
Yeah. Gemma and I were like, oh, look at this, and look at this, and oh my gosh. That is amazing.
Genius, right?
Yeah.
Genius. So, when space is an issue, or even just because it's really nice and you want it, basically, if you open this out, you can press, you can iron on this.
Yeah.
That's
lovely
okay for
pressing
ironing.
that.
Here, handy little cutting mat
Yeah.
for doing your little bits, a la bobs. And then you can rearrange. This is like, almost feels like a suede, doesn't it? So you can then lay out your blocks and stuff on there. You see, I'm thinking English paper piecing.
It's perfect for taking to work, you know, your
Workshops,
classes,
stuff
workshops,
like that.
retreats.
And then this is a non-stick area, again, for building up those blocks and arranging them so that they don't shift. So you can have this as a block keeper, maker, ironing board. Ta-da! Genius.
Brilliant. And
That might be mine.
fits in the craft bag.
Oh, it fits in the craft bag. That's the other joyful thing. So then this came into our lives. I'm going to keep the overhead on this, Jane, for a very good reason, because I haven't broken the zip. It's okay.
It's another pressing mat.
It's a pressing mat, and you know what is he? Sorry, making a bit of noise, making a bit of a racket. Do you know what is going to go beautifully in there? It's my new iron that I bought the other day. And look, you see, that will fit in there. I got us one, Jane, that doesn't sit in the base.
Oh, that's good.
So you see
And
that
doesn't make rude noises when you press the steam button by
I
accident.
don't know. But you see, look, press, 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 press. Or if you want to get your Prin Min, you see, look, it's got the reflectivey bit in there. If you want to get your Prin Mini iron,
Yeah, perfect.
then that would actually fit in there to take with it. I've actually forgotten to open that. And then this joyful thing fits in with all your other knick-knackery bits and bobs. That's all going to fit in there.
What a lovely bag, though, for somebody that's just starting out.
It's a nice
I mean, for
way
us
to
that
keep
are
it.
established quilters as well, but that, you know, for a gift for a young person that's just starting out with sewing and things.
Pockets.
Beautiful. It's got lots of useful bits in it.
And it's smart.
It is.
You know, it's really smart. Just black and white from afar, lovely. So we've got little things like this going on. And then we've got pin cushions, we've got tape measures, we've got snips. Ooh, the scissors.
I love this clear handles on those. I think that's really cool.
I'm also like, can I just show you this? Because you know I'm going to anyway. Well, I will if, you know, technology allows. Instead of the plastic things,
Yeah, they've used like raffia type
yeah,
thing,
it's
haven't
raffia. So they really have kept their promise. Your gold blade there, and then I like these see-through handly things.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, so you get Sew Aid. Hang on, let me get my glasses on. What does it say about Sew Aid? Hemline and Sew Group is proud sponsors of Sew Aid International, empowering women. Yes.
They help women, don't they, to fund their own projects, to make their own businesses. So like they teach them how to sew and give them
that's
projects
really
to
lovely.
make for them to then earn money, and then they can send their daughters to school or go to school themselves to learn
That's
more.
phenomenal. I love that. I don't think you can ever have too many scissors. Just saying.
Little snippy scissors are always handy.
Aren't they? I like these. And then what you've also got, John Carl Morgan was trying not to look at this morning. It's like, but it all matches. I know. You've got rulers. Oh. Retractable tape measures in black and gold. Take a look. We've dedicated an entire page. This is going to be mine.
Lovely.
The rotary cutters are lovely, and you know what, Jane? Do you know what else is rather good?
Natasha?
You get replacement blades in the gold.
In gold.
In the gold. So obviously this now has to be mine because I've made a right pig's ear opening it. It's a shame, isn't it? It's like I did it on purpose. Really love their new packaging.
Really easy to
Really
get into.
easy. Yeah, right. Ooh. Well, hang on a minute. What's going on here?
Is that a little guide to does it move when you press it down?
Don't know how to open it. Ah! Oh! Oh, look at this. Ooh.
This is added level of protection.
Dun it, dun it, dun it, dun it, dun. Look at that. So, oh, hang on. Do you know what that's going to mean? You can stand it. That's what that does. Oh.
That guides you so you can get a nice angle on it.
It means you can stand it up.
Yeah.
And then, zip. Nice.
And it's got a lock on the side so that
It's
people
got a lock
can't do
there.
that.
Yeah.
So little hands can't get on it. Brilliant. And it's got a thumb rest on the top as well, hasn't it? To give you added
the
rigidity.
The whole shebang is going on there. So we've got those in with gold replacement blades.
Because it's all black and gold.
Well, that's sitting in there, isn't it?
I just love the little jars of needles.
Oh, these are cute.
Super cute.
And do you know what? They're gonna. Look. Oh, you have to excuse the trumpeting off. Gemma's got hay fever or something like you wouldn't believe. I was like, what is that noise? Who let a goose or something in? What's that noise?
Poor Gemma.
I know. Oh, and the needles. Look at all the needles because they're gold topped. I'm going to have to show you these. Look at those. In nice little jars because it's not plastic. So they've gone away with the plastic.
Yeah.
So they've now gone pretty glass jars, which are going to look great. I can feel a display on the dresser coming on. For your pins, safety pins, more safety pins, black and gold. And then look at these tiddly tiny ones. These are your hand quilting needles. Size 8, 9 and 10. 10 pieces in there. I am enjoying all of this. Oh yeah. So peruse, rummage, enjoy. Please enjoy. That's what they are all there for. Oh, and before we go any further, you know, if you want to finish off the whole shebang. Yep. Black and gold.
Is it imperial on the other side? Is it imperial and metric?
Do you know, I haven't actually looked.
Yes, it is. Of course it is.
Of course it is. And.
Oh, a nice little workshop one.
Workshop one, which of course will then be, it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, isn't it? So if you love Matchy McMatchyville,
And the ruler.
oh, Jane wants me to throw in a ruler as well. All in gold. What a great gift.
Beautiful.
To yourself or others.
Yeah.
You deserve it. And even down to knick-knackery things like this. To keep all your bobbins in. Nice. Fit in the pocket. There. Great stuff. So that's me off to Hochanda tomorrow then. See ya.
Got all your stuff, a nice little sewing basket.
Got all my stuff. Pop that in there. Hang on, what did I do? Oh, I left everything on the floor, didn't I? Go me. So yeah. Can see why I got excited. I'm going to pop that down there, Jane.
Okay.
It's mine.
One of everything off the stock for Natasha Gemma.
She's already done it. She's already done it. I like to think of it as a marketing budget.
It's got to be done. You can't sell stuff if you don't use it.
Right. Right. Thank you, Jane, for justifying all of that. I do it for you. It's like charity work, isn't it?
Of course it is. It's such a hard
So
life.
selfless. So selfless, all for you. Can't see what I'm doing. I've got. Do you reckon my I don't know. I might have just found a new use for my bamboo face wipes. Are they going to work? Do you know what? I was talking to Jan about this, yes, because she said that she'd got one of the scrap bags. She was, oh, it's got a nice bit of bamboo in there. I said, oh yeah, make your face wipes, but just remember, with your bamboo, never use fabric conditioner. And I don't know if I ever said that when we sold all that bamboo on the show.
I never
use your fabric
my
conditioner.
towel in anyway, because it affects the absorbency, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's the same. And Jan said, "Oh, well, that's the same as your microfiber cloths because it affects the capillary action. It bungs up the capillary action. Same with this for the absorption. Don't use your. But actually, that does work really nicely to clean your glasses. So there we go. Good job. Right. That's another use for it. So this week, our half metre heavens. Janie's going to be doing this quilt, by the way. In just a moment. Oh, someone popped a whopping great big display cabinet in the way, didn't they? Look at that. Isn't it beautiful?
It's so pretty.
Just a note before we get started. These butterflies, you know Lisa Chandler, so these are Lisa Chandler's butterflies. You know she does her botanicals, she gets her botanical prints. Sorry, I've messed that up. You know how she does them so they are botanically correct?
Yes.
The butterflies. That's their actual size.
Oh my gosh.
I've never been to Australia and I want to go now because of the butterflies. But then I think, yeah, but does that mean they're going to have spiders like the same size?
Well, I think they pretty much have, haven't they?
Let's focus more on the
most
butterflies.
deadly creatures live in Australia, wasn't this silly? 8 of the 10 most deadly creatures of Australia.
I might just like watch it on National Geographic.
Yeah.
It feels safer. Feels safer that way. So this week, our half metre heavens. Obviously, there are still lots of half metre heavens on the website. But we've never ever done a Lisa Chandler half meter heaven ever, and so many of you keep ringing us up or messaging us saying, would you mind just telling us what colour goes with X, Y and Z? So what we've done is we've thrown a few, we've just basically whatever we had left on a bolt, we've finished off a bolt and put them out there for you so that you can start to see what colours go. And we were surprised with some, weren't we, this morning? We're like, we think that's going to go with such and such. Just didn't. So, to start off with, this is the Aussie Under the Sun Small Floral Green and Cream. Can you see that sparkle, sparkle, sparkle in there? This is a very pretty one. Let me give you a quick close-up with the... Whoops. Throw it at you.
It's got a beautiful silver metallic, but the metallics on Lisa's cloth is like sparkly somehow.
They do sparkle.
It's got a shimmer to it. It's really pretty.
I found out why.
I expect it's printed more than once, isn't it?
But I'm going to make you all watch Lisa's interview on Bank Holiday Monday, where she explains why it's sparkly sparkles. Now, we went through lots of different creams and plains and whatnot to look at because we carry 5 shades of cream and neutrals at least.
Yeah.
So you've got lots that you could choose for along selvage, obviously. But this one, when we played with them all, looked beautiful with the ivory. So we've put that with the ivory and it keeps that delicacy, I think, there.
Yes, it's lovely, gentle colourway, that is. It's lovely
really
and soft.
pretty,
Yeah.
really pretty. Now, Aussie Under the Sun Small Floral. This was the one that I did. That's the lid of that one. That's just the lid there. It works so beautifully with these bundles that we had yesterday on the show. I mustn't forget that's where all my knickknackery is.
Yeah, when you can't
in my
find
tidy, like where is it? Where is it? So this small floral, and again, don't forget that sparkle, 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 sparkle. There truly isn't anything else like this in the UK, is there?
I don't
really
think
isn't.
so, no.
So this is your black and orange small floral, and we've put that with orange. We looked at it with other colours, but the orange just popped. So that's actual orange. Actual orange. And the same actually with the floral. We wanted, when we looked at this little chap, and this is the one that I did my bag out of, one of my I've got a darker one somewhere underneath, right at the bottom. Right there you go. Obviously, if you got yourself a ½ metre of cork, you're well away, aren't you? I think that would be lovely.
Because you've got your lining there already.
Well, yeah, that's your lining. And it takes less than ½ metre for your outer, so yeah. And you only need, you don't need that much cork actually for it either.
No.
It's
Well, you've made your handles with the cork as well on that one, haven't you?
You can get a complete bag base out of a fat quarter of cork, a complete bag out of a fat quarter of cork. So if you buy a ½ metre of cork, you'd get 2 bags out of that, and then you'd get a whole bag out of this, and probably a knickknackery holder, I would imagine. I don't know that, I haven't checked the measurements, but I would imagine, absolutely. Now, this is same design, but in the black. So striking, isn't it? Beautiful. So this one, we put scarlet with it. Really pulls those reds, doesn't it?
Yeah. And in turn lifts the greens as well, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, and this is what Josh said the other day when we had another person asking, could you just find me a colour? He's like, Tash, do you need to do a colour workshop? Maybe we do, but I kind of consider our Thursday ½ metre heavens a bit like a colour workshop when we show you what the thinking behind it. Now this, we get asked a lot for greens, and I think I'm going to put a green bundle together to go with Lisa's fabrics. But just look at this. This is it with sage. And I love that. It pulls it up. Now, you see, Lisa and I were talking about this morning. She's like, well, you can always just pick a colour out of the selvage. Yes, but here's the other thing. Because of how Lisa has these done, so when they get a screen done, in between that, there's an airbrushing technique that's, I think only a couple of factories do, which is what gives the shading in her
I was going to say
fabrics,
the shading on her fabric is lovely.
is sublime, and she's worked really hard to find the places to do this. And again, we talk about that on Monday's interview. So Bank Holiday Monday, we've got Lisa's interview where, you know, you get to meet her because we've sold so much of her fabric, and you just get to, I want you to know the people behind the fabrics.
You chat to her quite a bit, don't you?
Most mornings. Yeah. She keeps me company whilst whilst I do stuff. It's nice because nobody else is up at that time. I get to chat to someone. I'm not alone. There we go. So there is that. Now this was the one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this is the blue butterflies. Hearts this very, very much. And we tried a range of purples.
We did.
That just, they either...
We tried some of the pinks as well, and they didn't do anything for it.
They did. It cheapened it, actually, didn't it?
Yeah, and
Sometimes
it can just make it go flat. And
the darker purples made it go flat.
Yeah.
This was just right. Just right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then it's just the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fabric. I'm going, you know, my cave quilt with all the flowers that I fussy cut. I'm going to fussy cut one of the butterflies
to just add on to it.
Yeah. And so this is with scarlet as well. Rather lovely. So these will all go on tonight, and this is the first time that we've ever done them as Half Meter Heavens ever, and the only reason that we've done it is so that you can get an idea of what colours go with what. This is your Summer Palace Blossom in plum, and this we have put with your Imperial. Rather lovely. This is a beautiful one, and yet you see this is one that Lisa considers to be almost a blender.
Yes. Yeah, but it works beautifully on it.
With that much gold on it.
You could see your little tool tidy with that fabric as well, couldn't you?
Right. Or maybe you want it in green. And we put fur with that fur. Not that sort of fur, no. Tree fur. Which is lovely. And actually this is the only one. Because I was reaching for the jade and you went, fur. And I went, but no, fur.
Inga and I were both adamant it was going to be fur with that one.
They were. I proper told. Do you know what, Jane? I'm just going to throw it out there.
Look at that.
Oh. Now, this was an interesting one. The black.
Yeah.
You'd think ivory, wouldn't you? You'd go, oh yeah, no, just go in with a soft ivory.
Or a black, and a black just...
Black's too hard.
Hardened it and didn't do anything.
How about lemon? I love that.
Yeah, it's just got enough just to pull out.
It brings a warmth to it. Ivory would have... No, let me just show it to you with the ivory.
It just flat... Again, it just doesn't do anything. It's not right. Stark.
It's a bit meh. It's okay.
Yeah, it works, but the lemon really lifts it.
But because you've got that richness in the black, you don't need it necessarily to be stark, because that's not what the sort of pattern is. The pattern is a beautiful floral. So there's time for stark and there's time not. That was beautiful. I did wonder actually about putting the red with that as well. It's an option, but I did rather like, I just love the red with the red. If you're going red, go red, right?
Yeah, and if you put the lemon and the black with the red and the...
How about that for a combination? And then it all works. It all plays so beautifully together. I'm afraid I went red crazy, and I did put that with red as well. That's your ivory and floral.
That's so pretty.
It is so pretty. I thought about putting it with the green, but then the green then didn't do anything with the cream background. So it kind of had to be red.
Yeah, it really makes the flower pop.
Inga wanted it with gold, which also looked lovely, but I really loved it with red. And then, let me tidy up some of these. I need to say hello to everyone in a minute as well. We've got a bit carried away and haven't said hello to anyone. I don't know if people... is anyone there?
We could be talking to ourselves.
Well, we might be. We might be. Oh, no, here we are. Morning, everyone. Morning, Natasha and Jane. Beautiful butterfly fabric. You don't have to go to Oz to see them. There are a few butterfly farms around. I believe one in Stratford. Possibly not open as yet. Yeah, Margaret, I had a very upsetting incident at the butterfly farm in Stratford involving Freddie and a butterfly.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't think we can go back.
Did it traumatise him?
The butterfly. Yeah. I turned my back for a second and his finger was... Ah! Paprika.
Nice.
Paprika. Now, your other option would have been actually to have gone with a red. There is a deep red in there, but it's only in the very deepest bits of the shading. So you could go red and that would pull out different stuff, but actually I wanted that rich, almost a rusty colour.
Yeah, and it also, that blends with the gold and lifts the golds in there.
Oh, it really does. It really does. So that I've only got 2 of these left. I've got to get Lisa to send me some more, but I've only got 2 of those left, and I just adore those. That would look gorgeous with the cork as well.
Yeah,
It really
nice.
would. Now this one, I've only got 1 of these left. This is the flannel flower. I was going to say, do you remember Lisa was talking about the flannel flower? But that was in the interview that I did with her the other day that's airing on Monday. This is your flannel flowers gold, and I've put this one with ivory, okay, because it gives a softness. Now,
it lifts the flannel flowers, doesn't it?
I
And makes the
thought-
background go behind.
You see, if I could have put it with lemon.
But then the background comes forward and the flowers disappear.
There we go. And actually, whoever gets this actually gets a little bit extra because it was the end of the bolt on this, so you've got a bit longer. That happened with a couple of them. Now, you see, so here's the situation, right? Because I don't know if you can see, this one is cream, that one is ivory.
Yeah.
It's by a tone. It really is. And yet that didn't quite work as well as that. But that, I felt with the red, needed this ever so slightly darker one. And this is what you're going to really struggle with, like it or not, with screens. You're not going to get the nuance of that tiny, tiny difference in shade.
And everybody's computer shows colours slightly differently.
Of course.
I mean, even on our monitor, sometimes things look slightly different shading to what we're seeing.
And it's not just that, it's actually trying to replicate that in a light box as well isn't always easy, which is why we started showcasing it this way. I put that with the cream as well because I really felt it softened that red.
Yeah.
And that would have been my other go-to. Now, you see, hang on. If I'd have done that, but I love that with the red. It's just, you see, so with that one as well, you could go that way if you wanted to. So you could add that into your basket, add yourself. So yeah, with the red, the cream is beautiful. With the flannel flower gold, like I said, I've only got 1 of those. That was ivory. Now we come into basically the green department because I'm not going to lie, I've got 10 of these left and then they're gone. That's all the red gone.
Yeah, that's just the leftover.
That was just left over from the quilt that we had. How gorgeous with that green. This is chartreuse. And I've basically gone bonkers and put them all with chartreuse because it just looks gorgeous. And also that one as well, all with chartreuse.
It all works beautifully with that.
Love. Love, 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 love. Oh, I've been told off for having my tea. It's whammy. My grandmother would call it whammy, Elizabeth. I don't think I've had a hot cup of tea since I had kids. You never actually get to have a hot cup of tea, do you?
No.
And then my friend said, why don't you just microwave it?
No.
So we've got the gum leaves, the gorgeous gum leaves, which are just, they're just lovely. And again, they're all edged in that gold. Now, okay, so we've got 2 of these left over after the quilt kits that we've done, and we pulled the pink in the butterfly. Love, love, love that. Lovely, lovely, love that. Again, only 2 of those. And then with, oh no, so this was the thing, you know, I just said I've put everything with chartreuse. I did, apart from, I put half of this one, and again, it's by a tone with sage. because the sage is gorgeous too. We basically need to do a greens bundle because all the greens seem to work so beautifully with Lisa's.
The moss and the khaki look really nice with it.
The khaki, the chartreuse and the sage all look beautiful with it. But you can just see how those two different greens, this brightens it, this gives it more of a earthy feel.
Yeah, there's some richness to it, isn't there?
And that's just by changing the tone. So they are going to be your half meter heavens, which we have never done before with Lisa's. So it was about time that we did that. And like I say, Monday's show is going to be her interview, like we did with Kaif and we did with Brandon. But of course, we are also coming up towards the end of the month, which means the last Friday of the month is actually Friday. And Sarah Payne is going to be in, which is fabulous. I haven't seen Sarah for ages. I can't wait. So Sarah's going to be in and she is going to be bringing with her a quilt of her own design. I mean, it's all her design because she's also designed the fabrics.
Oh wow,
as
that's
well.
exciting.
Yeah, they sold out when she took them on Create and Craft.
I can imagine.
They absolutely flew and sold out. Right. I'm going to take my very whammy cup of tea and go and sit down. And then we can say hello to everybody. Burnbank was my hometown. Okay. I'll have a look through these, Jane, while you get sorted.
Okay.
I might have to come back for that lead because for some reason it did not charge overnight. Bye everyone, I'm going over there. Sit down.
Oh, I've just found one of my safety pins on the floor from when I was quilting yesterday. I think SJ put a little video clip, didn't she, of me quilting yesterday on Instagram.
You quilted on the beast.
I was using the lovely, I messaged Natasha last week and I said, could I use the mini beast to quilt the quilt on Monday? And she said, yes. And I used it yesterday because we were a bit busy on Monday, weren't we?
Yeah, sorry about that.
And I just loved it because it was just nice to use. It's got a lovely soft, even action to it.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
The whole story is that, of course, I've set Jane up a whole sewing area with the NX7 in the workroom. She's like, so can I just use this one instead? Yeah.
I mean, the NX, when I can get to the desk, we've got to do some sorting out, will be beautiful because it's in the desk. So it was nice because I got all this space as well to use.
I almost tidied.
So it was really lovely.
Lisa says that she's not designing a spider print, so I don't have to worry.
Thank goodness for that.
Phoebe, good morning. So happy to get to join you live this time out here in California. I usually have to watch on replay. Well, hello. You are very, very welcome.
Oh, how exciting.
I'm international Natasha Makes, right?
That's wonderful.
Myra, that's my problem. Matching colours. Everything looks so different in the flesh. That is why we do the half meter heavens, Myra.
Yes,
and you can always message us.
I'm going to say we're happy to help because it's quite good fun getting all the fabrics out and going, oh, does this one go? No, that looks better, and it's all good fun. Right. We've got 5 different kits for this quilt, purely because the actual main fabric, where the butterflies is on that one, uses quite a bit of fabric. So we haven't got many kits in each colourway.
No, we do not. I'm just learning from the messages here that you get big spiders in Wokingham, says Margaret.
We were sorting out the garden yesterday over the weekend, and there was a big spider in our garden when we moved some tarpaulin. I was like, no.
I don't mind spiders. I'm really happy with spiders because
I'm okay if they don't move.
They don't have, they can't kill me.
No, they can give you a nasty bite though. Some of them.
Buggers. Right.
This, got it pattern upside down.
I'm throwing everything everywhere.
If we go close up and we can show
the
original pattern. This is Lisa's pattern.
So
Are
Jane,
we in the wrong place?
Well, no, the camera is because, do you remember I was having a small printer-based scenario issue,
yes.
This morning?
I was lucky that the printer wasn't thrown out through the window.
It's only because it's heavy.
That way, I have to go opposite direction. That's it.
Yeah, there we go.
That is the original quilt that Lisa made and the pattern. I mean, it's Emma's Garden. It's called Emma's Garden. It's a beautiful pattern, and we have got the kit. Well, not the actual kit because we've used a different fabric on the red, but it's beautiful. So we've got that actual colourway. So if you want to make it exactly as Lisa has, we've got the kits for that.
Now, I said to Lucy the other day, I'm going to do Emma's Garden, whoops, and I am going to do it in butterflies as well. She's like, oh, I always wanted to do it in the butterflies, but we didn't have the butterflies when we designed the quilt. Because that was my thing. I was like, why has that not been done?
Ooh,
there we go.
Wobbly. Oh, we can come back now. There we are.
There we are. We're all good.
Yeah.
It's not
Makes my hands
seamless
look huge.
camera, whatever, is it? Let's be honest, because it's
So-
me moving it around.
Yeah. So this, and it was a lovely pattern to use. As always, Lisa's patterns are really easy to follow.
What
So-
skill level would you say?
I think confident beginner. I mean, if you've done a couple of, basic quilts and then you're ready to move on to something a little bit more, because you've got half square triangles and quarter square triangles in this to make the sashing strips. And it's easy to do once you've got the hang of the layout, but it's a good next stage one, I would say. It's not complicated.
Lovely.
And it's nice big squares, apart from the sashing, which are smaller, but even they are easy to use. So this is the kit that we've put together to match that one. So we've got the large floral. Got the large floral, which is beautiful. And we've put a Moda grunge with that.
Which just
Maraschino cherry,
reds,
that is.
didn't it?
Yeah, and it just works beautifully with that red, look. It's got the shading in it. You're not going to use, you use a big portion for the borders, but that's, all you use. And then we've got the flowering gum blossom in the gold. Yeah, it is gold. And those that are more or less the fabric colours that Lisa's used. These two definitely are in that pattern. We then said, we've got some of that large floral in dark, with the black and gold, black, orange and gold. And
this was a different shade of red, wasn't it? But it just sparked. It was gorgeous.
Rococo.
I don't know.
I'm not really
anyway,
sure.
It's a Moda grunge red, and it just gives a little bit of depth, doesn't it?
Lifts it slightly, and then we put the flowering gum green, which really popped it all on there, which is just beautiful. But we were convinced we'd got another bolt of this somewhere, but we can't find it.
I think it's sold.
So we've only...
People will keep buying it.
We haven't got many kits of this one. But
yeah, we are a little bit...
It is lovely. So those are sort of like two opposite colourways of that one, using the actual floral fabric. And then, as Natasha said, we had a play with the butterflies. This is the kit that I have used to make the one in the background. So we've got the beautiful pink, turquoise and sort of jadey mint green butterflies on there.
That blue is a Moda, and it's got... Because this was where we struggled, wasn't it? To get a blue that was going to work with the blue butterflies. And that was simply because of the shading in the blues. So we went with a Moda that had lots of different shades in it.
Turquoisey, but this blue picks up those shades. It's not a match, but it's a tonal shading, and it works. Well, you've seen the big version, so you know that it looks lovely. And then we've got the pink flowering gum, which picks up the pinks and the butterflies beautifully. So that one is the one that I've done the demonstration with. And because I've done this demonstrations, it's reduced the number of kits slightly, but hey, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But this one, I love this. These butterflies, the jewel colours, they're really pretty jewel colours in this one. Look at those colours with that green and that orange, really bright and vibrant. And so we've gone with the Moda Grunge Lime Punch for that, because look at that with the greens. Boom. And then we chose the Flowering Gum Orange Multi, because it's got a bit of green in it and it pops that lime and picks up the oranges in the butterflies here. So again, this square is going to be, these are the squares inside the band, and this is your colourway on outside the band on here and for your borders around the quilt. So, we've tried our best to think of colours that really sort of pop it and go nicely and will give you a rich effect for that.
Now, Lisa says that the quilt is named after her best mate, Emma.
Oh, that's lovely. It's like
Yeah.
you've got a best friend called Emma.
I do have a best friend called Emma.
I've got a lovely cousin called Emma. And then we've got the butterflies on the black background, which is just beautiful.
Oh, yeah, this is the one that Lisa was saying. So these are the actual sizes. Kate,
Just
I am trying to get
lovely.
hold of that plane that was in the quilt in the background yesterday. I haven't got it yet, but it's on its way. I do like to tease you. Sorry about that.
So we've gone with a plain on this one, and we've gone with our lime. Again, because it pulls out these beautiful, and against the black looks really nice. And then we snuck a bit of Kate in, because we can.
Yeah, now this was fun, wasn't it? Because we looked at all the oranges.
With the oranges.
And we wanted something to really pop. And I was like, I'm not being funny, but what about a spot of keef? I don't think Lisa will mind.
I'm sure she won't, because it looks
Gorgeous.
lovely. And this is the one, I've got a little bit left over, so this is the one I'm going to demonstrate with. And I'm just going to show you the construction of the sashing, and we're going to do one block with the corners so that we can make it into a cushion.
Nice.
So that's what we're going to work on today.
Yeah, Elizabeth was saying, I think it's Rococo, as in the nighttime drink. I don't even get that far.
You see, I couldn't work it out because I always thought Rococo had got an O, so like COCCA, but this is spelt with an A. But sometimes we get an unusual spelling of the colours that we know how to spell, and I think it's sort of lost in translation somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it goes
because the fabric
to
does
many
get
places.
printed in Korea and places like that.
Places.
So
Yes.
that's what we do. Okay, right. So,
Deborah says, is the missing bolt the one on top of your dresser? No, it's not.
no,
but
we did
that
look there. We did look there, and it's not that one.
Because it's funny actually, because that will one day I will forget that that's up there, and that was only put up there to keep the bed tidy.
Yes, it held it down.
It held it down. That actually is now put aside for the most beautiful quilt that you're doing in 3 weeks' time. Yes.
So you've got the lovely instructions here. If we go overhead, I might be easier
Sure.
to show you. All the cutting instructions, the fabric requirements. There's just 3 fabrics used in this quilt. All the cutting instructions, easily to work out, and everything there. The sewing instructions are straightforward. Make the diamond sashing first. Now, got a little confused, and I'm easily confused. The diagram here shows 7 squares in the strip. Refer to the image because there's only actually 5. So I just made myself a little note there because I was merrily sewing away, just following the diagram, and then put it against the square and thought I cut my squares wrong and had to go back and look. But there's actually a note here that says, referring to the cover image as a guide.
Yeah.
So,
hello.
question is, hello, my darling. You come to help? Have you? You're going to help me? Yes, I know. I think we'll take you out though.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the view you present isn't always very flattering, is it?
It's
No.
not her best angle,
There we go.
if I'm honest.
There
But she
we go.
does love you, Jane. One day she's just going to get in your car and go home with you, isn't
I
she?
know. I always make sure that she's nowhere around because it makes me. I don't want to talk about it. Because she likes to sit in the sun on the doorstep, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's her favourite place.
So those are your squares within your sashing, and you're going to cut so many half square triangle that you're going to sash around those. So those are the main squares that form 5 blocks of those, and then you've got your inset triangles, and you've got half square triangles, and you've got quarter square triangles. The quarter square triangles make the insert ones. Yeah, that's right.
Which bits, Jane?
The insert. So these bigger ones here.
Oh,
And then you've got your quarter square, your half square, which form the corners. I just wanted to talk to you about the quarter square square, because it's a big square, and unless you've got a lovely big table like Natasha has with the big mat, you might find it difficult to cut it into quarter square triangles.
Right.
So,
I mean, we have mats, 2 different types of mat in that size.
yes,
just saying.
but people
not
might
everyone
not
has it.
physically
Yeah,
have
yeah,
the
yeah.
space to put a mat that size on. So this is the square, and what I did, because I haven't physically got this sort of space, is I folded the triangle in half, right sides together, lined it up, and I folded it in half again to find the middle. Obviously I took more care than I'm doing now. I really took the time to make sure it was all lined up. Found the middle of that baseline there, and then lined that fold up with the base of my mat there, and then lined up that crease point with the point there and cut down there, which gave me half square. I'm not going to cut this because I don't want to do the corner triangles. And then I would have had 2 pieces that looked like that.
Beautiful.
And then again, of course, I folded that again then to find the middle of that triangle and did the same thing. And I didn't have them together, I did them separately, one at a time. But
Okay.
just be careful, because obviously this piece here now, once you've cut it, is a biased edge, so just handle it carefully. And I did spray.
Yeah, yeah. What I want to know, Lisa, is do you have scarves in these butterflies? Because, you know,
they look beautiful, don't
Yeah.
they? They would.
just saying.
So, yeah, I want a 15-inch square for the corners. So I'm just going to cut that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of the main squares, sash round it, and then I'm going to put 4 corners on, just so
Nice.
that we
Just
can
to
make
show.
it into a cushion
Yeah.
front or whatever. So it's a 15-inch square. And I should have cut 2 of these, I wasn't thinking. Never mind, we'll just do half of one for the demonstration purposes.
Oh, the concentration. This is where having your big rulers is a must, isn't it?
Yeah, really is helpful. And then you'll just cut this square into half. Now, the reason you do quarter square triangles and half square triangles is all to do with the straight of grain of the fabric and not having biased edges on the edge of your quilt. So these are the triangles that go in the corner. So you can see we've got a straight line, straight grain and straight grain there. So the edges of the quilt will all be straight. And if you've got a quarter square triangle, so a quarter square, you'd be cutting that in half. That is your straight of grain there. So all the edges of the quilt are straight of grain, and so you've got no biased edges, which when you add your borders on prevents any stretching and pulling of your quilt. That's why we do half square triangles and quarter square triangles, because I think people might look at it and think, well, why can't you use a half square triangle in these bits here?
Oh, right, yeah,
If you used a half square triangle there, you've got the biased edge against that edge.
Yeah.
Which, when you come to put borders on, for the rest will in the world, will have a tendency to stretch.
To move around a bit.
So that's why we do it. Because I think sometimes I just assume people know these things. And of course,
it's not always the case.
We don't always, do we? Because
No.
we're learning all the time. And I mean, I was taught that, so that's how I know. You know, I was taught that fact. I didn't find it out for myself. It was taught to me. So I think sometimes we just have to remember that why we do things, we do them for a reason, not just because we like to make things awkward.
Oh, I don't know, sometimes.
You will also need to have your insert squares, which are these squares here.
Nice.
And in the instructions, Lisa suggests that you might like to try and fussy cut some of your fabric. You'll have fabric left over, and there is plenty to fussy cut from. So I chose with the butterflies. I mean, why not? There's plenty of fabric,
Oh, you've done different coloured ones. Nice.
I chose to pick the butterflies out. I've got a better piece that's got an orange one, because there's actually 4 types of butterfly on them. I know I have got a piece because I looked at it this morning and thought, oh yeah, I will get it out of there. Nope, I think I must have imagined it. I thought I'd put it safely to one side. No. Anyway.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, you would be able to, because I just had a scrap of the fabric. I didn't have a full piece, but I know from mine that I was able to. Anyway, I looked. The instructions say that for your insert squares for the sashing strips, you need a 3 3/8 square.
Right.
Now that's an unusual measurement, and where you can use your ruler to do that, I decided to make a template with template plastic.
Oh, is that why you were rummaging around for my template plastic?
In a normal situation, I've got the template at home. It's no good at home, is it, when you need it for your demonstration at work?
Well, you know, it all makes just fun, right?
No, crazy woman. I was like looking through them and I was like, I'm sure I put it with my pattern. Where's it gone? But it must still be on my workbench at home.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a red. I'll take this red one. We'll have 2 red ones. So I traced, I cut from template plastic a 3 3/8 square.
Nice.
It's not hard to do, and I used the corner of the template plastic for 2 of the sides, because why waste
Helps.
any. I also marked the 1/4 of an inch. If I put this on top of the white, you might be able to see it better. I marked the seam allowance, so the 1/4 inch seam allowance all round, and I also put a diagonal line through it, just so that I've got a centre point then. I know where the centre is, so that helps for lining things up. I also wrote on it that it was a 3 3/8 inch square and what the pattern was. Because we put these things to one side and then you'll go back and you'll think, well, what was that for?
What was it? What was that all about?
But if you can clip it to your pattern, that might help.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, just,
yeah.
You know, just saying. Then you might remember to bring it with you. Now,
Poor
if
John's
you think,
getting stick from Myra for watching. She's like, have you got time for this? It's like, no. He's too busy on TikTok.
Oh, bless
right,
him.
sorry, where are we? Yes, fussy cutting. Fussy
So
cutting.
think about the fact that the quilt, the squares are on point. So you really want to have your butterfly on point.
This is the sort of thing that I would remember afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world, because we know butterflies don't just fly straight, but you know, we've talked about my OCD before, so we won't, you know.
We won't venture there again.
I unpicked it, don't know how many times, because I got butterflies going one way and not the other way, and I was just like, no, can't live with that.
Really?
Yeah. I spent Friday, I think I unpicked more of that quilt than I actually sewed it together, because once I'd sewn it together, I didn't like the way that one of the blocks of the butterflies were facing, so I had to take it out to put it back in again.
Oh my goodness.
And I just, like most people would just think, oh, that's fine, just get on with it. But no, not me, I can't live with it. And I'm just like, it's not even going to be my quilt.
Oh, if you go to the butterfly farm though, they do fly around in all sorts of...
Yeah, and they're on the fabric, they're in all sorts of different directions. So I just traced around the square.
You are funny.
And I'd made sure that you can see there's just happens to be on this little red butterfly a little red dot in the middle of her body, so I was able to line that centre of my diagonals up with that, so I'm fairly confident that's in the middle. And then I've drawn around that square. Now you can cut that out with scissors, or you can just take your rotary cutter and your ruler to it, because you've cut your what you need to cut. So these are literally leftovers, so you don't have to worry about you know, if you're going to cut too much and you're going to have cut into the fabric you need. So
do your big squares
do
first.
your big squares first. Start with your biggest square, which is the one that you're going to cut your quarter square triangles from, because you can use the offcut of that strip to cut some of the other squares from and work your way down. That's what I did.
Yeah.
When you come to cut the borders, the fabric that goes around the edge, Lisa suggests you cut across the width of the fabric, so parallel with the selvage.
Right.
So cut those borders out first. I mean, if you follow the instructions that are in there, you won't go wrong. Lisa puts it perfectly. So you've got all of those instructions, but that's quite unusual because we don't normally cut parallel with the selvage. We usually cut width, so from selvage to selvage. But that means you've got no joins in your borders.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's always handy. So we're going to make the sashing strip now, which is the squares and the triangles. Again, all the cutting instructions for the triangles and the half square triangles and the quarter square triangles are all in the pattern. And it's fairly easy to do. And again, following the instructions, which are very straightforward and easy to see. You just need to have 5 squares of your colour, whichever kit you've chosen, you'll have your squares. Now I suggest that you do lay this out, particularly for your first one. Once you've done your first one, you'll probably think, oh right, yeah, I've got that now.
Yeah.
But I laid it out, as it sewed a bit, laid it back into the position, sewed the next bit, because it's all slightly offset seams and all sorts of things going on. So you're going to have your large square, which you're going to cut into 4 to make your quarter square triangles. So the square just cutting across the 2 diagonals. And if you've got a rotating cutting mat, that always helps, because
Do you want one? It's just in the corner.
it's easy to do here because we can just step to one side and do it. Always cut away from yourself. It's very tempting to put the ruler on there, do that cut safely, put the ruler on that one, and then cut down there.
No.
You're not in control. You're cutting towards yourself. If you slip, well, we don't even want to think about it. So, you know, just take the time and step to one side and cut it that way. If you really haven't got room, if you're really in a tight space, just take them apart, turn them around and then cut them. But please cut carefully, that's all I'm saying. So you'll have your quarter square triangles, and then the corners of the sashing strip here are just half triangles, so half square triangles. So that's just one cut diagonally, and that's straightforward. So it's a case of putting them in position so that you can see how it's constructed.
Oh, nice. Looks like a tile border around a bathroom, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And actually you can see already, just with that border just up by the butterflies, you can see the green butterfly just pop, can't you, next to...
Yeah, it does. So I'll just put those to one side for a minute. You start off by sewing your triangle. So you place your triangles right side together, and we're going to sew on this seam here. Now, this is where I say, just keep it in the position that you're sewing it in, because it's so easy to sew the wrong side of the triangle.
Yeah.
And it's very tempting to want to sew from this corner. Well, you'd have to flip it over, and that's not the end of the world, that's fine. But I found, and it's not something I usually do because this triangle bit can tend to get chewed up and come under the machine, but I did find it easier to sew from that end down because it kept it on the right side.
So basically get a donkey, put that through first.
Yeah, and I mean, my machine and this machine, they tend not to pull it. And if you've got because some machines have got 2 plates and one is for just straight stitch.
Yeah.
if you've got that plate, just put that on, because that will prevent it being pulled underneath as well. But
I
as
always used
Natasha
to-
says,
yeah.
you know, you can just use a little
Little scrap.
scrap of fabric. I'll just, you know, just put that in first before you start sewing, and that will prevent it pulling it under. But this machine doesn't do that anyway.
Would you chain piece these?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I did, now that I know which orientation that goes on,
Yeah.
I was able to do that because I could just look at that one, take that square, take that top triangle, because I'm working with the top triangles, and just make sure that that was in the right place,
Okay.
so that they all look the same. Because it's very easy when you take it to your machine to turn it round without
no, you don't
thinking.
do that.
Just do that, you know. It's so easy to do. And it's not the end of the world because everything unpicks, doesn't it? But it's just frustrating. And so we get to this one and we're putting that one on. I'm not going to put that onto there yet. So we just snip those apart then, and we press the seams towards the square. So when I'm pressing, if I want the seam to go on whatever fabric I want the seam to go underneath, I always have that fabric on the top.
Right. Took me a long time to learn that. I don't know why.
It's just one of, again, it's just one of those little tips that you pick up, and you know, it all makes life easier, doesn't it? So I'm just pressing that and just gently pressing it away, because remember these are quarter square triangles, so the biased edge is this side here.
Yeah.
So we are literally just flipping that up and pressing it down. We're not doing that because we might stretch the triangle. So as I said, I'm just going to place these back now in the way that I want them to be, just so that I know that I'm still in the right place.
Elizabeth says, would that be the same as sewing 3 strips orange in the middle, then cutting them up at an angle, or are the threads going to be in different directions?
Yes, you could do that, but what will happen if you did it Seminole quilting, patchwork they call it, and you'd make 3 strips of fabric, sew them together in a strip set, and then you trim it off. But what you will have is you'll have that trimmed edge there will be a biased edge.
Right, okay.
And it's not the end of the world, and if you starch your fabric, it probably won't be fine, it'll be fine. But using this method, you know, as we said before, you've got a straight edge here.
Yeah.
Which just helps putting everything together.
Especially if you're, you know, if this is one of the first quilts that you've ever done.
Yeah, I think once you get to know how things are constructed, because I looked at it and I thought, oh yeah, shall I show them how to do that with Seminole piecing? And I thought, no, it's Lisa's pattern, she's done it, I know why we've used triangles, because of the straight edges, and because, again, once we've constructed the quilt, it's on point. So that adds a little bit of movement to it as well. So it's better to have as many straight edges as you can.
What I realise in getting to know Lisa, as I have over the last few months, is that there's always a reason for why she does something.
Every patchworker does it. And sometimes you can look at a pattern and you can think, oh, well, I know a quicker way of doing this. And you could do it, but you might end up not getting the same effect. When we're designing, we all do things a certain way because we want it, the end effect, the end finish gets you there. There might be, I mean, the saying all roads lead to Rome is quite true, because there's so many different ways of doing the same thing with patchwork.
Absolutely.
That none of them are wrong, but sometimes a designer will use a certain technique because it gives a better finish at the end. Of what, and it might not be obvious, and you might think, well, it doesn't matter, and sometimes it doesn't. But
Julia says that as a non-quilter, that makes her brain hurt, the thought of the 3 strips and then cutting them at various. I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it?
Yes, I was going to say, if it's your first venture into something more than squares, stick with the method. If you've done Seminole piecing and you're confident with it and you know how to do it, do the strip piecing and do it that way. but you will have biased edges, so just be aware of that.
And also, when you trim it, you're going to have to make sure that you trim so that the green has a 1/4 of an inch above and beyond the top of the...
And people that know me and are used to my method of quilting will be looking at this and thinking, hang on, she usually leaves all her dog ears and stuff in. You do need to trim this down a bit.
Right.
And it does help in the overall finish, because I thought, oh, I'll just leave it. But then I looked at it and thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You've got trimmability here anyway. Lisa's put into her cutting instructions just that little bit of extra so that you can trim it down and get a nice straight edge to sew against, which makes life easier.
And again, I think if you are just starting, then taking that time to do those little extra steps, firstly, you will learn from them. Secondly,
Yes.
you will get that better finish. And, like I say, Lisa always does something for a reason.
I'm going to say all patchwork designers do the same thing. It's all for a reason at the end of the day. So we've done that top row and we're going to do the bottom row now. So again, just flip it over and just make sure that you know what you're doing piecing wise. And again, I turned it that way just so that I knew that I was in the right direction. It's very easy to sew it to the wrong side. So it's always worth just taking the time and doing it step by step. I mean, once I'd done the first one, I was able to just pile them up on top of each other and I knew where I was going.
Yeah. Elizabeth said, so that's a no then to the older 3-strip
Well,
thing.
give it a go, Elizabeth. If you feel confident with your biased edge and you can, I mean, if you use spray starch or your best press or your starch savvy, whatever, it might be enough to prevent any movement. And
Diane
then we
says
put
it's
that
a
one on.
masterclass. It's one of those things. What my aim always was with Natasha Makes was to bring you a range and a variety, so that you have everything from your very basic pouches that we did yesterday, even though I clearly can't cut properly, to
Happens to the best of us. I cut the first square.
Yeah.
And I read the instructions and it clearly says cut through 1 diagonal and I cut through 2.
Amazing.
And I was like...
But it does, it really does happen. But I always want to bring you a variety. And that's what I hope that we're really getting now.
Yeah, and I think it's nice because it also, people that are predominantly bag makers might think, oh, I could have a go at making that quilt.
Yeah.
That's not too complicated.
We need Jenny to have a baby so she can come back. Yes. For dressmaking.
Yes, we need a dressmaker.
That won't be long now, will it?
No, it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah.
So we have got 2 squares, one with a triangle at the top and one with a triangle at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They look exactly the same.
Okay.
But as I said, I just wanted to do it step by step and keep it all out because it's so different a way of piecing. And then you've got 3 set squares and the triangles are just facing in the opposite direction at the end of the day.
Nice.
Now in Lisa's instructions she says sew them together and then put the ends on. I decided to put the ends on these end pieces first, these half square triangles.
Right.
Purely because, as I said, we're working with quite a lot of biased edges and I just felt that having these units together and then joining these units was
Did it just hold it a little bit more?
reducing the amount of stretch.
Right.
It's not going to be a huge, I mean, the fabric we use is quite a good quality fabric. It doesn't have much movement in it anyway. So it's not, we're not talking about it stretching right out of shape, but it's just those little things that can just frustrate you when you're trying to put things together if it's stretched a little bit out of shape.
The Lisa Chandler fabric is incredible quality
beautiful.
and so well made that there is as little movement as you're going to get with a fabric.
Yeah.
And we try, what we also do in bringing in and putting the cafe in there and the motor in the other sets, we did that firstly because they were beautiful, but secondly because then you've got that level of fabric that doesn't shift. It's really easy, especially when you're starting out, to think, oh, I won't go with a premium fabric because I'm not good enough for it yet. I haven't learned enough yet.
I
but
always
actually,
think if you
makes
use the
learning
best quality
harder.
you can afford, and the better the quality, the better the finish. It's like anything you do. If you use the best wallpaper paint and the wallpaper, I bought some really nice wallpaper, and I decided to pay that bit more for the paste that went with that wallpaper. They don't design paste just because they think, oh, that's another way. They make it so that it works with the paper.
Yeah.
And yes, it was more than I would have paid for wallpaper paste normally, but I got the finish of the wallpaper, and it's that sort of thing, isn't it? It's just so spending a little bit more just to get the better quality.
There are cheaper plain cottons as well out there on the market. I don't tend to use them because the weave on these Rose and Hubble, firstly it's a good quality cotton, and it's affordable too.
Yeah.
It's so
and they're consistent with their dyes as well. It's not very often that there's much movement of shade between, because sometimes you'll get a batch number and you'll look at the two shades and you can quite obviously see, even though it says it's the same, there's a little shading difference.
Yeah.
But I've noticed, because I do quite a bit of the cutting here, that the new bolts, the shades,
they're pretty consistent, aren't
very
they?
consistent.
And so it's when you find that, I stick with it. And so I've tried some other. When I first started, I tried some other. They were a little less expensive, but they didn't feel so nice.
No,
they really didn't.
And I've done it myself. I've started a big project, bought some cream background, gone back to the same shop to get the same fabric, got it back, and it's particularly like creams and whites, you can tell, can't you?
Yeah, of course.
And the cream was just so different. And it's like, oh no.
So there is method to our madness.
Yeah.
As much as Lisa does stuff for a reason, we also do stuff for a reason too. And we're careful about the manufacturers that we work with, the people that we work with, and the fabrics that we choose.
Yeah. So you've got half square triangles now, and you're going to sew those across there. Now, to find the middle of that, I folded the square right sides together, so that's the seam edge there, making sure, wrong side, sorry, together, and just pinched it. So I've got a little crease there. And then I did the same with the triangle.
Oh, okay.
And wrong sides together. I mean, there isn't a right or wrong really with your planes. And then place that on top, so that little crease sits on top of the other crease. And then I know that triangle is in the middle of that square. Again, that will help with your seam allowance. I mean, obviously it's 1/4 of an inch either side, but sometimes just having that visual guide helps.
Oh, now you see, everyone's volunteering Karen to come and be our resident dressmaker.
Yeah.
If I lived near her, I'd be there like a shot. We need to talk about this.
Yes.
We need to talk about this because, I'd love it if you'd come on the show. I've never known anyone whiz up a dress quite as quickly as Karen does.
That beautiful one that she was wearing the other day.
Oh my goodness, the piping on it was just divine.
Exquisite.
For Morrison's. I mean, her Morrison's is really spoiled.
Yeah.
I feel that's, at least a Waitrose dress.
I have pressed the seam towards the green on that one.
You can see on your top one how it means that they sort of look inlaid.
Yes. There is a reason for this, and I will explain this when we come to join on this. Now, place it back into the place it's going to go to keep the strip, to put this one on, because I can't tell you how many times I sewed it onto that side. Some days you just think, really, I should have maybe stayed in bed and not made this quilt.
Yeah, they're generally my show days though, Jane.
Yeah, and it usually works like that, doesn't it? When you're in, I think it's like when you're in a hurry to get something done, you're just like, oh, for goodness sake, it's taken me twice as long as it would do normally.
I'm being blamed for stuff here. Myra says, thanks Natasha, I only buy quality fabric now. Waste of money. Got a big box of cheap fabric to use up. Do you know what, Myra? Make them into dog blankets.
Yeah.
John said this to me the other day. He said, Tash, do you ever quilt for your dogs? And I said, I don't quilt for my dogs because actually Maud is a little chewer. Margot would love it. Margot loves anything soft.
Well, yes, she's a girl of quality, isn't she, Margot? She's like,
I mean, whether it be kittens, fabric,
I
whatever
mean, Maud
it
is beautiful. I love Maud because I love a shaggy dog, but she's a grub hound.
She's a grub
If
hound.
she was a person, she'd be a tomboy, wouldn't she? And
She would
she'd
be.
always be up to her
Dungarees.
knees in mud,
Yep.
and her hair would be like
Mine.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's a crazy hound. But she's a hound. She's exactly that.
Yeah.
She's a hound. And whenever I talk to my mum, she always goes, well, that's hounds for you.
Yes.
That's hounds for you. But the point is that, Myra, what you could always do is use up those scraps, just practicing different techniques, and make some quilts, and then gift them maybe to the Dogs Trust or somewhere
the
like
Dogs
that.
Trust always love a quilt, don't they?
So there is a philosophy that the dogs that have quilts get rehomed more quickly, because people can imagine them in their homes more easily when there's a quilt, rather than just
that
a
makes
dirty
sense.
blanket or something like that.
Makes sense.
So, Myra, if you were up for that, then I would happily send you a whole load of fleece that I've got spare that you can just back it with, and then you don't have to put wadding or anything in between. You can just back it in fleece.
Yeah.
And I just...
And if I'm making a cushion cover and I want to quilt the cushion cover, I'll use like a calico or a cheaper fabric on the back of the wadding that's going to be inside the cushion, because it doesn't matter, nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
But it just protects my machine from the wadding getting too much fluff inside.
Yeah.
So that's and bag linings,
Yeah, things like that. So, Myra,
stuff
if you
that you're
wanted
not
to do
really
that,
going to see.
or if any of you wanted to do that, I've got quite a lot of spare fleece and stuff. House of Alistair used to send me his leftover fleece, so I've got some. When I was doing the ones for the Dogs Trust, from the leftover fabrics from Sewing Quarter, I used to pick up any old scraps that were left around and use them for that, save them being thrown in the bin.
Yeah. Well, we were told that we could have any of the scraps. There used to be a box under the presenter's prep table, and we were told that we could use any of those scraps, and they weren't going to be able to be resold, so if you can use them, help yourself, which I always thought was nice.
Some of them went to the Linus Trust, I think, as well.
Yeah. Right, so you've got your two corner ends, and then you've got your three with your triangles either side. Now this is where your mind does a little bit of a what?
Oh, you've got to get it straight.
Because you pick this up and you want to put the squares together like that, because that's what your head says has to happen. But if you did that, you'd end up with that, and that doesn't work.
No, what? No.
So it's called offsetting. So you put the square against the triangle. And again, when you put that together, you're like, well, that's not going to fit, because you've got this seam allowance thing going on, but it does. And because you've pressed your seams towards the square, you're going to get a lovely way of nestling the seams. So if you think
that would
my
really mess
square
with my head.
goes on top of my triangle and my triangle goes on top of my square, that's the best way to remember it. Because I think when we do patchwork, we think, oh yeah, you put the edges together and that's how it works. But this is just takes a little bit of thought. But as I say, once you've done your first row, and I suggest that you do one row first, step by step, like I'm doing it. And then once you've got that, you'll get it in your head how it goes together. And then you can just blast through chain piecing it, and it doesn't take very long at all.
Diane says that whilst watching, I've been taking up curtains. What a help the magic pins are. Being able to iron over them makes such a difference. I'm going to be honest, when we first had the magic pins come in, I was like, who's going to pay £9.99 for a set of pins? And they're one of our biggest sellers.
Yeah, because you can iron over them.
Because you can iron over them,
Yeah.
and because they're so fine and fantastic.
They're beautiful pins.
They're
Nice and strong and easy to use.
Yeah, I
And,
absolutely love them.
I had a lady that said to me, they're really good because my fingers aren't so dexterous and I have trouble gripping. And the big ends on them, if you've got we haven't got any on here, but if you've got, like the ballpoint pin, ball head pins, and that is so much easier to grab hold of than that.
Yeah.
And so the lady she said to me, I find them so much easier to use because I haven't got the dexterity in my hands.
Am I the only one that has decorative pin cushions?
No.
I don't know if that's a thing, if I'm weird in even admitting
No,
this to
it's
the
a
group.
big thing. It's a big
Because
thing.
I like the round ones, like the
Yeah,
normal
and
round
like
ones.
mosaic patterns.
I like those in a decorative pincushion.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? Like you
No.
can't, they'd sit on the dresser, it doesn't...
No, you
it's
don't do
gonna
anything
get
with them.
used.
You just make pretty patterns with
Yeah,
the pins.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I feel... it's a safe space here, isn't it, Jane? That's fine.
Now-
Talking of safe spaces, could you just chuck me the plug with the charger in? Because
Yes.
we're about to come
Is it the
uncharged.
stripy one?
It's the whole plug.
The whole
that's
black
got
plug.
all of the wires hanging out of it, so that I can just recharge.
I'll just
Sorry,
lean
says
across and
everybody.
pass that over. There we
Thanks.
go. Now you may have noticed that I just unpicked. I did my little twiddly thing here. I unpicked that seam. Can we go close up on this? Oh,
Hang
no,
on,
not at the moment.
When I've plugged everything in.
We're about to come undone. Whoops. Where are we going? Close up, close
Please.
up, close up. That one. No, that's not that. Not that
There
close
we
up.
go.
That close up. Yeah, that
So
one.
I have unpicked the couple of stitches on this side and on this side, and then what I can do is I can just twist that and I will press that again. And again, I found this helpful when I was lining up my edges, but it also, when you're quilting it, it reduces the bulk.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just press that down and we'll go back and show you again how that looks when it's pressed.
Why don't my chargers want to charge today?
So if we can,
Yep. There we go.
sorry,
No, it's all right.
there we go. So that's, and you can, I like to have a visual guide when I'm sewing seams, and by pressing that back, you've got this X marks the spot here that's going to show me when I line that up with my big square. Helps me with my seam guiding as well. So I joined them into pairs. So this one, again, as I say, we put the square on top of the triangle and the triangle on top of the square. And of course, you know, if you want to pin them, please pin them. If it makes, you know, you'll have lots of time to make this quilt, and you can take as much time as you want. You could do it in a weekend if you just sat and made it. It's the sort of quilt that you could do in a weekend.
Really?
Yeah, the hardest parts of this quilt really are, they're not hard, the ones that take the most time is this sashing. Once you've got this sashing done, it goes together quite quickly.
So you've just got to get your head around how to do that sashing,
Yeah.
haven't you? And that's
And
it.
it doesn't take a, you know, it won't take you long to just get that method into your mind, to get it together. And then I'm going to sew this square, this end square onto those two there. And again, it's the triangle, the square on top of the triangle and the triangle on top of the square, and just nest in the seams so that I know that I'm going to get a nice crisp point, not have any gaps or anything like that.
Oh, well, this is good. So, during this show, we
Yes.
have established that we want Karen to be our resident dressmaker. It's
Yeah.
actually 1 hour 56 minutes, Karen. You know, just I might have just discovered. And
Yeah, that's on paper. I know Karen's got to come down that bit of motorway that I have to travel down, and it took me nearly an hour and a half this morning to get.
Oh, don't spoil it, Jane.
No, I
Don't
know, but
spoil it.
Karen will know. Karen will know what
Yeah,
that bit of
I know.
motorway is like.
Yeah. Even Pam's like, it's only 2 hours.
Yeah.
Only 2 hours. And Myra's going to do some dog blankets. I'll have to send her some fleece. What else? What else? What other world things have we solved today?
Well, we found out that we can go and see Australian butterflies at Stratford. Did somebody say? Is it
Yeah, Stratford-upon-Avon, the
Yeah.
butterfly farm at Stratford is beautiful. Don't know if it's open again yet. I'm hoping that I won't have heart-stopping moments if I take Freddie as a 7-year-old, like I did when he was 2.
We went to one in when we went to Malaysia, and that was absolutely lovely to go to there, because I'd never been to one before. And I mean, they were just butterflies. There was no other insects, which I was happy about. And I was absolutely fascinated by them. And they were just like sitting on your shoulder, and it's just
They
lovely.
are beautiful, aren't they?
And
really
dual
beautiful.
colours, just amazing colours. And there was one butterfly there that when its wings were closed, it looked like a dead leaf.
Oh.
But when it opened its wings out, it was this colour.
Oh wow, the blue.
Yeah. So they've got trays of fruit just dotted around in this garden for the butterflies to eat.
Yeah.
And I saw this tray of
buffet,
fruit with
nice.
all these dead leaves on, and I was like, well, that's unusual, because it was like really clean, because everywhere, like Malaysia, Singapore's really clean everywhere. Fancy leaving all dead leaves. And then as I walked past, obviously I disturbed them, and there was this cloud of blue butterflies then that flew up in the air, and I was just like, wow,
Amazing.
that's amazing.
Amazing.
So
Karen said that would be the devil road known as the M6.
yes.
Yeah. Would you skip that out if you went toll?
No, Karen would have to come. She would miss. There's roadworks going on around junction 10A at the moment, which slows everybody down. But that bit between 16, 15 to about 9, it's just a nightmare.
Is
It's
that
the
before you hit the
busiest
toll?
stretch of any motorway in Europe, apparently.
Oh, that's dull.
But the toll is just after 12, just before 11. So she probably would, but 50, between 15 and 12 can be a bit of a pain sometimes as well.
Elizabeth, where are you moving to? Because Elizabeth's saying that she can go and stay with her. I love this. I love how this is all coming
Yeah.
together. An absolute treat. Poor Karen probably doesn't want to do it
doesn't
at
want
all.
to do any
It's just like,
demonstrating.
no,
Yes, you come and demonstrate for me.
I've got enough dresses, thanks. I don't need to make any more. Karen,
I'll be a model, Karen. You can make them for me.
strong-armed into coming on Natasha Makes. It's all good. We're friends.
Right, so
We're friends.
we're going to trim this down now.
Oh yeah, sorry, trimming. Yep.
Because as you can see, it's got all ends. Some of them aren't quite level, and all of that going on. So 1/4 of an inch, and of course on your creative grid ruler, you've got the 1/4 of an inch marked on there. So it's really easy to line that up. And I lined it up. I got a horizontal line of my ruler. So I just made sure that that horizontal line was running through the points of the squares. So I knew I was square, if you like. And then and it is, sometimes there's nothing to trim off, but I've just got the 1/4 of an inch mark on that, just fraction past that point. So, and then just trim that bit off there. And I did that on the other end. Just lining it up, making sure that they're running straight there.
Margaret says that her cat pulls the magic pins out of the pincushion and drops them, and then my husband picks them up and puts them back. Yeah,
It's a good game.
They have such fun. I mean, whatever whiles away lockdown, right?
Yeah.
You and the cat and the pincushion. Oh, the magnetic pin dishes. I didn't show those.
Well,
You see that? Oh, what would the cat do with that?
oh, we'd play with that, wouldn't he? He'd love that, because
Yeah.
they'd move, but they wouldn't come away.
Karen says, enough dresses, is there such a thing? I think I've sworn in Karen's world. I think I've just said something really bad. And Elizabeth says, keep nagging. I'll wear her down. Oh, it'll wear her down. Oh, no, I mean, Elizabeth might wear her down. I don't know. Who knows?
So I've done the same on the sides. I've
Yep.
just lined up the 1/4 of an inch mark with the points of the squares. My voice is going. We've also got the 45-degree line on the ruler, which also helps you line it up with a seam as well, just to make sure that you're in there. And you might find that you may have a little bit of a, I don't know if we can see it there, my hem there just comes in slightly, but because it's within that 1/4 of an inch, I'm not worried about it. It's enough to hold it onto the quilt. So
Elizabeth says, I'd wear a saint down. I think that you could be described as tenacious, Elizabeth. And I don't say that in a bad way. I have also been described as tenacious on occasions.
yes,
And that's how we get what we want.
determined.
Determined, that's
Yes.
it. I think my daughter will also be tenacious. And
Definitely, that lady knows what she wants,
she
and
knows
she
what
knows
she
how
wants.
to get it.
Yeah, that's
So
also
You'll
a
have
thing.
your squares, and you've got 5 squares, and you're going to do one with a piece of sashing either side, and then you'll sew 3 together. So you'll have 3 squares with a sashing in between.
Amazing.
and then one on each end, and then you'll have another one with one and a piece of sashing on either end.
Oh, look at that. You know when you know that colours are going to work, and then when you actually put them together and you go, I didn't know it was going to work that well.
Yeah.
I really love that.
I think my 1/4 inch is a little bit wider than it should be. So it's not quite fitting. I know that they do fit, so they would fit exactly to the square, but I'm just going to centralise that and we'll go with it. But you can see now, because I pressed those seams, did that twiddly thing in the middle, I've got the X marks the spot on both sides of this sashing.
Oh, nice.
So I can see where I am.
Perfect. Myra says that she made a dog mat for the dogs lying on the backyard, cut and overlocked into an envelope, old duvet inserted, done dusted in 15 minutes, all washable. That kind of idea, Natasha? Yes, that's exactly the sort of thing. Because they do get given lots of old duvets and stuff, don't they?
Yes.
They just ask not for pillows with feather innards, because that's not ideal.
Yeah, because some dogs just like to chew things anyway, and it just gets...
Juliet needs some dressmaking. She says she probably only has one that might still fit. Not that she had that many anyway. I don't wear dresses because they never fit me, so we need Karen in our lives. The only dress that I have that I really wear is one that I made using the golden rule.
Yeah. I've made a couple of dresses. I love them. And they've been washed a few times. So...
And they've hung together.
And they're still together.
You see, this is where I am.
But
really
whether
curious.
I've made them correctly, if you get what I'm saying, you know, I probably could have made them better. I think, you know, people can make things, can't they? But they make them their own way, and it's not necessarily the right way.
Yeah, you know that. You know the way that you'd get taught if you went to.
Yes, if you were taught properly. Yeah, this isn't fitting at all well. I think I've done something with my seam allowance, but it doesn't matter because we'll get the idea.
Yeah, Diane, I think you're right. She says, feathers, must be a chicken in there. I think that's probably another reason why they're not allowed pillows with duck down, feather down.
It might be
like
a choking risk as well, I don't know. So.
With Maud, it would just be a mess risk.
Yeah.
She would just have so much fun.
Yeah, and you can imagine, can't you? With
that little cheeky face. Yes, Elizabeth, what about a book? What about a book? What sort of a book? Actually, yeah, Claire's another one that whips up a dress as soon as looking at it.
Yes, she does. I love that dress that she made me with. That she showed pictures of herself. Lovely.
Yeah, the one with the pretty sash.
Yeah,
nice.
Really nice. And you'll notice that I'm pressing the seam towards the big square as well. You've got a lot of points on your sashing strip, so if you press the seam towards the big square, it just sits flatter. Just sits flatter on there. So you'll do that with your squares, and then you make the long sashing strips, which go on top of the one end of your square on the single squares, and then it'll go through the other way on your row of squares.
Right.
In the instructions, Lisa just says, you know, just look at the image, and the best thing to do is to put the image sort of on point so you can see the rows.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to see. So you would sew, for the one that goes on top of here, you just sew 2 butterflies to the end of each piece.
Yeah.
And then you just carry on for these long rows here. You have a flower or butterfly in between each piece of sashing. So there's 4 squares there and 3 pieces of sashing. And you do 2 of those and 2 with 1 piece of sashing and 2 squares on each end.
Yeah. No, that all
so
makes
we'll
sense.
just do that now.
Oh, look. Oh. Isn't it a completely different look?
Yes.
It looks so modern in the black.
It does, and it's very vibrant, isn't it, with the
Yeah.
orange and green?
Lovely. Margaret says that if it fits and it stays on, then you made it correctly, Jane.
That was pretty much my ethos with it as well, Margaret. I was just like, well, and if I wear a cardigan, people can't see that the darts aren't quite right and that the zip is a little bit wobbly at the back, so. People that have seen me at shows will have seen my dresses I've made because I used to wear them
Oh.
at the shows because I'd used my fabric to make the dresses. So not my fabric,
Yeah.
but fabric I sold.
Yeah. It's always a good excuse.
It just shows that, you know, it's not just for patchwork, it can be used for other things too.
I'm looking forward to having some sort of weather that allows you to wear something other than 8 gazillion layers.
Yes. We were saying, weren't we, this morning, we just thought we've had a few nice days, haven't we? And then this morning we're like, oh, it's really cold.
I know. I've got goodness knows how many layers on and a scarf today.
Yes. I think because it was rainy I mean the sun's out now and it's lovely, but because it was rainy and dark first thing, that sort of sets your mood, doesn't it, as to how it feels. It's like, oh, it's cold.
The sun's out now though.
Yeah, it's
That's
beautiful
nice.
now. The birds are
No, you see,
singing.
Phoebe in California, she says, I enjoy making dresses for myself because then it fits me right. Do you find, Phoebe, that you, like I walk a bit taller, I stand a bit better when I'm wearing something that I know really fits me? Otherwise you sort of slink into the background because stuff doesn't quite fit or it digs
We've
in
all
a
done
bit
it,
or-
haven't we? We've bought
Yeah.
a really nice dress and it makes us feel nice. And you can feel yourself sort of like, yeah, well, I look all right in this. And it does, it's good for your mood.
Yeah, I first discovered that when I was in Thailand and I had a couple of suits made for work while I was out there. And it was the first time I'd ever had anything really sort of tailor-made.
When
And it was phenomenal.
Yeah, we went to Sri Lanka and they dressed us in. We went on a tour and they
Yeah.
showed us how the sari silk was made, and then we went to a sari shop, and then they dressed you in a sari, and they let you choose any sari off the shelf. It didn't matter what it was. You could just go and choose a piece of sari. I mean, obviously they thought that once you'd had it on, you'd want to buy it, but there was no pressure.
Yeah.
And they put me in this sari, and apparently I'd chosen really it was lovely magenta with gold on. They put me in this sari, and then they don't let you look.
Yeah.
And then they pull the curtain back and let you look. And I was just like, oh my God, I look gorgeous in this sari. I really did. And I was just like, oh, I
Look at me, look at me.
But I'd chosen probably one of the most expensive ones, and Glenn was like, no, you're not having it.
Oh. Yeah, but Jane,
No.
if you couldn't choose like the best fabric in the shop, I would be really disappointed in you.
There's definitely something gone with my seams here. I don't know what I've done, whether I've cut the square wrong, I'm not sure. But
Maybe the square's just a little bit too big.
we're just going to do a little bit of stretching here, which won't make it look particularly good. But your seams would nestle nicely if you'd done it properly, which you will do properly because you will have the right setting on your machine for your seam allowance and everything. I don't know that this is going to look good actually, but we'll give it a go and see what happens.
Jane? We've got the entire quilt behind us, which shows that you can actually do it. It's all good. Margaret says, did we ever work out if the missing bolt is the one on the dresser? No, it's not. But I love the fact that everyone's looking.
Spotted it. Yeah.
Spot. Maybe I should do it. Maybe I should hide something in the set and see if people can find
Spot it.
Yeah. Oh, Donna says she doesn't have the figure for dresses. I think if you've got a figure, you've got a figure for a dress.
Yeah, there'll
It's
be a
just the
style
right
of dress that
Yeah.
will suit your figure.
But she's made wedding dresses, tutus, and love making everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Phoebe says, I always say, I made it myself when I get compliments. People are always surprised. That's when you know, isn't it, that
Yes.
you've done a real proper good job. It's like, oh, where did you buy that? Nah, I made it. Yeah, you're right. And that makes you walk even taller.
Yeah, and we'd gone out to like a garden centre place just to have, like a light lunch type thing, jacket potato. and I was coming out as a young girl sitting on her daddy's shoulders was walking in. And as I walked past, she said, "Wow, that's a lovely dress." And I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Watch me sashing through the car park.
But, you know, children don't lie, do they? Not that age, anyway.
Do you know what? There is nothing better than getting a compliment from a stranger. Because they have no...
Got no ulterior
They have
motive.
no reason to say it.
No.
They have no reason to say it.
Now, this is going to look awful, I think, because
Oh,
it's
okay.
stretched a bit, but, well, it's not too bad. Not too bad. It's got a bit of a tuck in it in one corner.
Oh, we'll be all right.
I
Oh, yeah,
think we'll leave it at that, but you get the idea, because that will go on there then.
Oh, it is
And
a
you
bit
would
lovely.
have your next row. So you would sew, don't attach these rows yet, but you can attach it to the one square, and then you will have your corner square triangle, which you will attach to the top of there,
Yeah.
which I will do that, I think. I don't know. I can't decide. I might have to unpick that and just adjust the size of the square.
No, that's all right.
So you would attach that to there in making the quilt, and you would have your quarter square triangles, which would, again, you would have one going that way and one going that way. And you would make two pieces like that. So they're your corners, if you like. And then you'd have your row, and you would have row of 3 squares and your sashing strip attached to the top and the bottom. And then you would add, so you'd have that effect, and then you would add a corner piece, a half square triangle, if you imagine this is a row of 3, to each end.
No.
So you would have 2 corner pieces with your quarter square triangles on, and they would face opposite ways, really. They go, one goes that way and one goes that way, with your half square triangle on the top. So you'd have 2 pieces like that, and then you join those to the middle row, and that's your middle of your quilt. And then you add your your border around it. So I think it goes on top and bottom and then side and side. It doesn't really matter because it's square anyway, so it doesn't matter which way round you put it on. And then quilt it. And I quilted it with a meander, just because it doesn't need, because the fabric has got such a, even the flowers and the butterflies, the fabric itself is the focal point of the quilt. So a simple meander through.
It wasn't that simple though, was it, Jane? Because you did use a beautiful gold thread.
Well, I did. I found a lovely thread.
Let's be
I found
honest.
a lovely thread in Natasha's box. I was like, oh, I love this thread. It's not gold metallic, because metallic thread can be a bit of a pain to quilt with. But it's doable. So if you want to have a go with metallic thread, that would look lovely. And I think the meander just holds the layers together without being too intrusive.
No, it's lovely, and it looks like the trail from the butterflies.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
sort of flipping around. Yes, so that was it, and then I did the binding on. So it's a nice, straightforward quilt to make, I think, and a nice next step up. Try a different technique, but not too overwhelming, because it's repetitive.
Can we finish this one off into a nice big cushion and put in the conservatory? Because
I think
that
it would look lovely, wouldn't it?
Amazing in the conservatory. And Karen says it looks amazing, Jane. Walk
Thank
for
you.
the rest of the day. Oh yeah, Gemma says that small children definitely don't lie about these things. Yesterday, Captain Small was declaring that I had a scary face. No, what happened was.
Did Gemma make her jump? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So you had the tall stool where you were sitting to quilt.
Yes.
And I wasn't looking, and Captain Small came home and tried to climb up onto the stool, and of course it's not stable enough for her to climb onto, so it started to tilt, and Gemma, bless her, grabbed her so she didn't fall, and it just made Emily jump.
Yes.
And so she was
Beside
crying her
herself,
heart out.
wasn't she?
Was,
Yes, she was.
Gemma scared me. Gemma scared me. I don't think it was your face, Gemma. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it was your face.
No.
But she has days where she doesn't like any of us, to be fair.
No, she said before that sometimes she says she loves me, and other times she said, I don't like Jane. I don't like Jane.
I wouldn't take it personally.
I don't, because we all have days when we don't like people. There's the fact that she's 2 and she can say it. That's what's beautiful. It makes me smile inside. Because I think some days I wish I could say that. Like you.
Your inner 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I was going to say maybe we should try it for the day here.
I don't think
but I'm not sure.
I think we're all, we'd think about it for a long time afterwards, wouldn't we? Because we're like that.
Yeah.
Somebody says something to you and you analyse what they've said. And
I'm a proper worrier. If I think I've said something
if
that's
I think I've upset someone, yeah.
Oh.
Awful.
Oh.
Think about it for days.
Do they sell the fussy cutting mirrors, please? Oh, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to look into it. We don't, but give me half an hour. I bet I can find one.
They're mirrors that are joined together on a hinge. So you can place them like that and then you would see what 4 look like. It's really good when you're doing, the star that we did, the Lone Star. If you're not sure about the colours, you can put like one corner in, one diamond shape, and then you can see what the whole thing would look like. So if you were doing it out in the colour process, they're a really handy tool to have. And if you're doing a kaleidoscope quilt where you're taking one image to make it go round, like we did with the circle bits, again, you can take you can put it onto your fabric. So I could put it on that butterfly wing like that, and I would see what that would look like in a whole circle. They're magical. It's a bit like looking through a kaleidoscope, really.
Okay, so we need those in our lives. Jennifer, give me about half an hour. I will track some down. Diane says you can say it when you're 92 as well.
Oh, that's good.
The honesty thing. Yeah. That honesty thing is trouble is, yeah.
Yeah, and your mums can do it, can't they? Because my mum said to me, I wouldn't wear that dress again.
I remember my mum saying to me, well, I wouldn't wear it if you put on any more weight. Absolutely mortified. It's like, so is it okay now? What if I eat a donut later? Can I not wear this then? But mums can, you're right, mums can.
Mums get away with it too.
Elizabeth says, was that when you were talking about don't say no to me? No, the don't say no to me incident with Captain Small was when I wouldn't let her take her 3-foot helium unicorn to school with her. And I said, no, you can't take that. Don't you say no to me.
Yeah, I can because I'm your mum.
Yeah.
Bless her.
Yeah.
She's a delight. Because she's so...
She's a delight.
She
You
is
don't have to live with her.
She is a delight. She's one of those children that you like to talk to her because you like the reactions you get. And Freddie's the same. I love chatting to Freddie because there's an honesty behind him as well. And sometimes he just looks at me to say, what are you talking about?
He is honest. He's a very honest child.
And he's a clever boy as well, which is nice to talk to him because he's clever.
So I have a quandary, right? Emily has what looks like a bit of a fringe. Just appeared one day. I said, Emily, have you cut your hair? No, Freddie did it. Freddie, did you cut Emily's hair? No. Emily, did Freddie actually cut your hair? Or did you cut your hair? No, Freddie did it. And we've been trying to catch Emily out because Freddie's so honest.
Yes, he is. He's very truthful, yeah.
He just doesn't lie. I've drummed that into him that I will tolerate many things, but lying, no way, Jose. So now I don't know. I have no idea because we've tried.
It'll come out when he's about 40.
Yeah, we've tried to catch Emily out. Like, oh, did you do it with the carving knife? And she's like, no, with the blue scissors. Right. Oh.
Proper scissors.
Oh,
okay.
Not the blue scissors. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Well, everybody, that is the end of today's show. But we only have tomorrow where we don't have a Natasha Makes show.
And you're
here.
And
I've got 2 shows at Hochanda tomorrow. So
not Hochanda anymore, is it? It's Creighton.
Yeah, no, the craft or craft.
No, I was going to say craft and create or something.
The craft store.
Craft store.
It's only their biggest competitor.
Craft store tomorrow. It'll still be a Chanda. We've got a local shop that used to be called Bowls, and the co-op took it over. Must be 25 years ago. But we still say we're going to Bowls.
It's funny, isn't it? It just sticks. Yeah, so I will be at Hochanda / the craft store tomorrow with some Lisa Chandler kits. Yeah.
Lots of loveliness.
Yeah, so 7 and 10 I'll be there.
Nice.
Spread the word. And then we've got Sarah Payne with her gorgeous quilt on Friday. And then it's the weekend. And then on Monday we've got Lisa's interview because it's a bank holiday. And I thought you guys should have a day off.
Lovely.
There we go.
And it's block of the month, last block. We're going to put everything together.
And yes, the fabric has arrived.
Yes, and it'll be hopefully in the post either today or tomorrow. More likely tomorrow, probably. We'll get the kits put together. It's cut, ready. It just needs putting together with the pattern in the bag.
Perfect. I've got to, if the printer wants to behave itself.
It was a bit of a wobbly this morning.
Oh, what does it want? We need to get Billy, King of Printers, back. My daughter broke her hula hoop and blamed her brothers. It took till Christmas 20 years later for it to come out that it was her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes out when they're adults.
Don't get me wrong, she looks quite cute with a fringe.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it wasn't there 2 days ago. Hey,
No, never mind.
All
It'll
right.
grow back.
Thank you, everybody. And take care, stay safe, keep sewing and all of that malarkey. And take a look at the gold. It's got its own page on the website.
Beautiful bits on there.
Yeah.
Lots of loveliness.
Perfect. All right then, you lot. Jane, thank you so much. And
Welcome.
thank you, Lisa, for a fabulous pattern yet again.
Lovely.
And we'll see you tomorrow at Hochanda / craft store and then Friday with Sarah Payne. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.